sacred journey starts here. Diné Pride.
Good evening. She ya already Nelson she. Tropan shlon do ki ani e bashashin, tsenjikine e dashi chero touchine e dashinala, le bishbit khore e nasha, a kut al de nenishlen. Good evening, friends, relatives, everyone around the world, from the Navajo Nation to the biggest cities across the United States. We'd like to welcome you tonight for an official virtual event that's brought to you safely streamed through YouTube and Facebook for our community members, for you all to hear the perspectives and the stories and the experiences of our LGBTQIA and Two-Spirit relatives all across Indian country. Tonight, we're going to bring you a featured event where you're going to hear from Navajo Nation Council Delegate Nathaniel Brown, who is a sponsor, one of the co-sponsors, and a champion for our LGBTQ community on the Navajo Nation Council. He continues to uplift the voices of our relatives and those most fortunate, especially during this pandemic. So I'd like to say thank you to Council Delegate Nathaniel Brown for his leadership, along with so many other council representatives within the 24th Navajo Nation Council have been there for us since the very beginning. In addition to hearing from Nathaniel Brown, who will provide us an opening address, you're also going to hear from a gathering of several LGBTQ chapter officials, and their perspective is unique. It's the first time we're actually going to hear from them publicly through this particular platform, and we're really proud to have them here as supporters of our work. As we look into the future, relatives, we need to understand that we come from a place of resiliency. Since time immemorial, our LGBTQIA and Two-Spirit relatives have always been seen as sacred beings in our communities. We continue to hold sacred roles, whether that's medicine people, those that adopt orphan children, those are healers, those are business leaders, those are doctors, those that continue to be at the front line facing this monster that we know, COVID-19. We're everywhere. We're your family, we're your relatives, we're your coworkers, we're those people that have always been there uplifting our sovereign nations. So continue to our young people especially to understand that our traditional stories for many Indigenous nations across the United States, they have always recognized that sacred role, that inherent role of what it means to be balashklai, a five-fingered human being. So as I look into the future now with Diné Pride, we're looking forward to introducing a theme for this year where we're going to honor the sacred resiliency of our matriarchs, honor the sacred resiliency of our Indigenous women. So now Diné Pride is going to be hosted the third week in June, from June 14th through the 19th, with several virtual and in-person events. So please check our flyer on that. Besides that, I'd like to say thank you all again for your continued support. Please buy our awesome merchandise. This is our new t-shirt for 2021. And as we move forward together into the future, let's all come back as one family, as one nation, as one Indian country. You all have a good night. Again, thank you. It's an honor to be here as your Executive Director of Diné Pride. You all have a good night.
Ayat say Nathaniel Brown das jin tropa hanslon look at basashin ki ani das chait as lana das nala. I represent 3 communities in Western Agency, Chilchimbito, Danahotso, and Kayenta. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. Ado, to all our relatives around the world. Yes, we do have relatives all around the world. So it's good. People that are listening abroad, people that are relatives. Can you guys, okay, there. It went out for a little bit. But I just wanted to welcome everyone. We have our kinship. I know that none of us can ever say we are lost or we don't know where we come from. We have our kinship. We have our historical knowledge. I know exactly where Shema and her mom and her mom and her mom, where they come from in our stories. So with that, I want to reaffirm to everyone that's listening within our LGBTQ community that we are here. And as an elected Navajo Nation council, it's an honor and a privilege to represent everyone. And I will not exclude our LGBTQ relatives also, and so many of our Navajo people. So the nation was built for all of us. The nation by our grandparents. If you can just imagine what our masana, what they prayed for. I know that when they prayed for us, especially leaving Awelte, they said, "Hada dasha alchin alkan natjatole, hada dasha alchin njono dahui nadole, hada dasha alchin bezad yeyadat kito, yedat edole, lidet zilbiyet the kedat indole." I don't think any of them said, I want my children to be fighting. I want our LGBTQ to be pushed to the side. I want, just men leadership. It's really our grandparents, our Masanas and Che said, we've been prayed into being. So all of you that are listening, you are here for a reason. We have a purpose. We all have a purpose. And right now, it's an honor and a privilege to introduce these really important legislations and moving towards the Equality Act for LGBTQ community. One of the things that we have done was the Tzile. So already you're my Tzile, you're Tobaha. So I'm introducing the Navajo Pride Week, which starts on June 14th through the 18th. So we introduced this legislation to the Navajo Nation Council back in about a year ago. And really good conversation on the council floor. We do have some misogyny that still exists within our community. We still have individuals who shun us or who are ashamed of LGBTQ relatives. But for myself, it's a huge privilege to sit on the council floor. I hold that very sacred for me. It's a big ceremony when every time you go into session. I know that the holy people are present with us. I know when I go in, I go in with my turquoise. I go in with my dandilye. I go in with what my family have given me. So with all of that, I take that. Another legislation that we passed was legislation in July 3rd, 2019. The supporting the Equality Act, which was Senate Bill 788. And that was a really good conversation on the council floor supporting the Equality Act. So that's the beginning, or that's part of the work. So we will move forward and we'll work on this. So again, that's a long introduction, but I'm going to time the time back to Lynn. And for introduction. So Lynn.
Yeah, my name is Lynn Curley, and thank you, Delegate Nate Brown. It's an honor to hear you. Finally get to meet you. Al Ray, thanks for being the executive director for Pride. I would love to give Pride a huge thank you. It has been a few years that they came into existence, but it was much needed on Navajo Nation. I had the privilege to be a part of them, a part of that event for since it started. But should ya got Lindell Curley that should na do na na edge hop on the age on do put on it should na do tana zan it that should na hop on slong put it in that should chair put on it that should put other yet an inch though I used to age at total in a shop. So, and due to relocation, we relocated with my father out to Navajo, Arizona. And it is definitely an honor and a privilege to be sitting here in front of you as the Commissioner Vice President for Nahat Atzil Commission Governance. I have been with Nahat Atzil for almost 4 years as administrator and met a lot of wonderful people, a lot of nice community members, though I decided to run for politics. And surprisingly, I came in the second highest vote. So, and thanks for joining me. And I am the moderator for this evening. So, we have a few questions that I need to go through. And just let me know that Navajo Nation, we do have a very slow internet services. So, a lot of my panelists are going in and out, but just give them time. Thanks for joining, and I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's session. Yeah, and I will pass it over to our Francis Lester, and he can introduce himself from Whitecomb.
Thank you, Lynn, and then thank you, Elray, and then also Honorable Delegate Brown. My name is Francis Lester, and I'm from Whitecomb, a small community outside of Holbrook, about 54 miles. And my clans are not the touch me. That's who I am. Yeah, on the after my father. Ado Twitchini after my grandpa. Ado Kiani Tapa National. And I'm here today as collectively to give a perspective outcome of how Indigenous LGBTQ reference ourselves on the Navajo reservation. Ado hiya kung ayan kalas ni ka. Ade shi hadayo kisto dahisnal tsashi. Ako kage ki an hinan nishtin le thatnas nile tabagan has ango hot hinan nishil. The 2012 donle 2016 ja nalsos yam ya halyangi do basic des ingi hot ashna nishla. Ado biga kuna ya bika schoko. The Bebenant Anasisni 2016 only 2020. Ako ade dixtringi ki ya not a shidana a bekan it's community advocacy will ya ahot a nashnish. Ako ado the legislative council laid based under getting that so the has aniki LDA ed an slap ako ay go ay no no ay ba so ay hot a so na do ako lego hot so she bla kana get to and one of the teaching that was given to me is when you start an interview or if you can start a castle with people this
Seems like, um, well, I think I will just get to the questions through the audio, but I did let you guys know that on the Navajo reservation, it is a lot of our internet services are very slow. However, we do the best we can with what we have. So on to back to what we're starting with is both Delegate Nate Brown and Francis. Can you share a story of your first election? How was it being out in public and proud out in with the election?
I can go first. With myself, I was asked by community elders to run for council delegate. And first, actually, for the first 6 to 8 months, I said no, because I know how hard it is to be in politics. And I didn't really have a lot of faith in myself in the beginning. But as the more months progress, my community members keep asking me. Finally, at the Diné Senior Center, when I showed up there, they asked me again, and I told them, I go, "Di deshpansa Angelo na nishin tazi do tapetishno." And my elder said, "Haini na don't get that no. Hain zen betisho. Di the neni tleni on kata I betisho. Di young is the hut do chela hawan shino kedo. You're gonna throw me under the bus?" And they laughed, and we had a good joke about. I mean, we laughed about it. And one of the elderly, one of the masanas said, niya no. And another time, I was here at the Kayenta chapter, and I was sitting up front, and Grandma Helen came in, and she had her grandson with her. And she said she went to social service, she went to the schools, she wanted her Nellie to apply NAU, and no one would help her. So well, before she told me that story, I let them in, and we sat down and had all these templates on my computer. So I just, changed the dates. We did all of that within an hour, and we applied at NAU for scholarships, for enrollment, everything. And then I sent them on the way, and she hugged me, and she said, "Shiyaj, asin kandidilo, dida, chehlo na nashwa." And she hugged me and she said, "Don't dedeshta, chichela sintleo inda." And in the back of my mind, there's a shame piece of me, right, as being an open gay person, and then finally I agreed. I mean, how do you say no to our masane when she's crying and asking you to just put in your paperwork at the election office? But then after that, when I attended another meeting, I told my elders, and I said, I still have a lot of skeleton on my closets that you probably don't want to hear about. So I was telling them, I'm like, I do this, and I thought the final straw was if I told them that I'm not your regular average Navajo guy who will be married, have a wife and kids, and live happily ever after, but I'm born differently. And I told them the story that I'm not leh, but I had a partner then, and they looked at me and they're like, "Wow, that idea." And they said, "Well," they're like, "we have grandkids like that too." And they said, this is your purpose." And when I told them the truth about, I mean, everything was out, right? I talked about my past to them, and they said, so I mean, I don't think there's a greater, there's really no one else that can ask me. And it was them that they were persistent, and because of them, I ran. And then the second term, that's what happened. So on the council floor, I know one gentleman, asked about, actually called me a faggot and a queer on the council floor.
Wow.
Because I did not support their initiative. But I had to stand there, and I just laughed it off. And I said, those are bigotry, that's hate, that's racism against us, it still exists. So, but I'm going to continue to be myself, and I'm going to continue to do the work for all my people. And I think anyone who's in an elected position needs to include everyone. You know, we have a lot of our Navajos that are in LGBTQ, but I hear the same stories from our Navajos that are half Balagana, half Nakhe, half Shinikaha. So, but they're still Diné. And that's that's what I was taught. So that's why you know, it's really important for me to remember, and I come from a lot of that. So, and you know, we'll continue to do the work. Yeah, totally.
So yeah, Nate, it's wonderful to hear other people's stories and what they have gone through to be here. And next we will have Tabe Begay, and he will introduce himself, his public office, and then briefly describe what it was for his election as well as what title he holds. Okay, Tabe, nice to see you.
Good afternoon or good evening, Lynn. Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
brief introduction. First of all, I apologize for getting on late, but I was in another meeting which ran a little late, but nonetheless I'm here. So yeah, it's a top big and yeah. My idea is using slow to work at Glenny, but she's ching on this as you touch any that she dog. I see that's another. Do we be toward it? You see that Sean to Kintiel the Asia. And I currently reside in White Ruins, Arizona. I am the secretary treasurer. I was elected in November and took office in January. So I am thankful for that position. And additionally, this is my first time holding office. I'm thankful for the people that voted for me within White Ruins chapter. I'm not from White Ruins chapter. However, my partner and I do live in White Ruins chapter. I've moved there probably about 13 years ago. I left my mother's home after moving back from Albuquerque, New Mexico. We started a home there, and I currently reside there. And this is my first election. I did have an opponent, and I was a little surprised that I did beat her, but that was the fortunate part of it. However, I've done numerous chapter work in different capacities. A lot of it was just on a volunteer basis, distributing food during the winter storms, helping the elderlies and so forth. But that's my experience with my chapter. And my first election was actually interesting. During the pandemic, I did not campaign. I'll honestly say that. However, on election day, I just made a few little signs, passed out hand sanitizers and face masks, and that was it. So, but as far as campaigning, I really didn't do anything. I was well accepted by my community members, and they're pretty much all accepting of who I am. They do know that I do have a partner there that lives. We both live in the community, and I do appreciate all their support as well. So that's my brief introduction. Thank you all that are online, listening and watching, and to Lynn. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you guys for all joining us and being able to be here with us. Like our executive director said, this is our very first time doing this. And it was about a couple of months ago, I ran this by El Rey, and now it's become a reality. So, yeah, for joining us. The same question for myself. It's my first time running for election. Just like what Tabe said, the pandemic happened and Joe ended. I was already working as administrator for 3 years. So the twin kid not at is kai what out a yard long else seen look at the neto sunny do a the lineage chat the whole scene. Even nation a yan journal a ya get the whole scene so a ban yan di shodi fata nitla should or should I nitla it done the COVID nationally had done thankful that we're all still here though my huge condolences to others that are no longer here in existence with us. But but excuse me. But like I said, my first election, although the pandemic was happening, I still needed to get myself out there. Shamasanya and Miss Edith Whitehair. She got part of it. Although it gets emotional when I speak about my grandma. But so no matter if the pandemic was happening, I was able to butcher. I was able to feed. We just put them into go trays and that. To be honest, although the baby sent that they down, such a whole just. But I had a good outcome. I was elected the second highest. I was surprised by that. The reason why I say I'm surprised, I'm pretty sure a lot of us here that are on panelists understand this, because we are coming from Navajo Nation, a nation that still has not accepted same-sex marriages, a nation that still has hate crime, that have not passed hate crime laws, and a nation where a lot of them have adapted into the Western cultures. We have a lot of our peers. It was okay. That two-spirit but those and Bilagana Hodyangi Kahan Kahana. Eben Nasha there's only a man and a woman, So Eben Nasha, a lot of our peers, they went that route and they understood the Christian side of things. Eben in grade school was not the best for me. I was always told I was saying that I wanted to be a leader like such. But my peers will say it will never happen because a Thai will never be a leader. Or a Thai this. And I went through a lot of bullying when I was younger. My grade school consisted of a lot of things, but I just want to say, yeah, for letting me know these things, because you guys were actually my my huge how do you say it, inspiration. When I hear and know, my dad knows me for this, when I hear and know, I want to overcome that. My father was a huge person where he would let me know that you can always turn negativity into positivity. He was the only person that ever could, I guess, withstand such a thing. So, even you will never know. You be night. I just should although shada see your high so in how by chance and although the nabit is kite a kind of shown such a whole just to be in when I was an administrator, it was really nice because I was able to meet leaders and understand leaders and just observe and just see who they were. I was able to be a part of the council floor. I was able to be a part of the NHLC, which is, a lot of things I attended and I respected. And it's just how life is going to be. I can't put myself on hold to make sure that everybody starts accepting me for me. I just have to accept myself for myself and understand that I can be who I am wherever I am. Though this is myself. I've always presented myself this way when I was out campaigning. This is who I was, and this is who I will be. And then thanks to my shirt, my top, you guys are asking about it, Tabe made that. So thank you, Father Tabe. To my huge main supporters, Shama Vera, my sister Crystal, my brother Rusty. Those were my main vocal points of who made me. They made me stronger for who I am, and to this day, I am very proud to be a nice Native American, openly trans woman, to be sitting here in front of you, moderating this, and hopefully we will hear more about that, about myself and other things, but it was wonderful to explain where I come from and who I am, and so let's go on. Francis, the same question for you. How was it to be out and proud, and during the election years, how did you represent? Seems like Francis is going through some technical difficulties, so we will come back to him soon. But during the pandemic, you explained this, Tave. It was a little more difficult for us to campaign during the election stages. I know you briefly described that, and the outcome of it came really well. So if you could just go further into how you prepared. I mean, I know the pandemic was a surprise, and how did you quickly change your output on how to campaign for yourself?
Thank you for the question, Lynn. That is not Honorable Brown. Yan Tieto Kodo Atranat at these so with that, during the pandemic, it was all about being safe. I know we really could not do a lot of campaigning. We couldn't go door to door. We couldn't really pass out anything due to the orders that have been in place by OPVP. And then just ourselves also with keeping safe. So a lot of what I did was just going to some, like when I go to the store or the grocery store, because we do have a local grocery store in Nahatadzi. When I see community members, I'll let them know I'm running for Secretary Treasurer, and I do have a candidate that's running against me, a contender. And your vote is appreciated. I will not promise you anything because things do take time. It doesn't happen overnight and may not happen within 4 years. Therefore, your vote is appreciated. Along those same lines of being safe, just using social media, I had a graphic designer create a poster for me, and those I just put on my social media page, and that's how I got the word out, all while being safe at home and working from home and so forth. So that's how I managed to really do somewhat of a campaign during the pandemic. And on election day, like I said, I went out, sat at the chapter house for a few hours. Again, being safe, not going up to the vehicles, but just kind of handing out a few things, hand sanitizers, masks, face mask. And that was it. No food stands and so forth. So that's how I did my campaign. I didn't create any kind of literature to hand out. It was just all just basically just vote for me. That was it. So thank you.
Wonderful, Georgia Hat and Honorable Nate Brown. The question, excuse me, would be: would you ever think that there will be a woman voted on the Navajo Nation presidency level?
Yes, yeah. We do need female person, our mother, right? Nakamado, Nakamasan,
Yes.
Ado Padeh Nikiteja, that Enkamayaj. I think the saying, traditional Navajos that use or say Sani do not Ani do deja. I think when I met with some peacemakers, they said when you go to the Navajo Nation Council chambers, above the entrance, the main entrance on the east side, there's a painting on top. On that painting is when our people were going to be coming back to the nation from the long walk. They had to negotiate. Back before colonial contact, it was always the male and female that worked together to make their household run, to work with the whole family. And since contact with non-natives, that's when we learned the concept. That's when the ladies were told, or they were told, leave them behind. We only work with the men. And that's where I think as Navajo people, we're evolving so fast. And that's something, one of the bad things we picked up from the colonialistic idea is from that. So when I met with the peacemakers of the Navajo Nation, they said, I think it's about time that a female, a sani, not ani dole, fale sani a man le, hawan njono baganya ahaliyansa, kamahalon hachahatosh keta behot, betskis and I think, this is a question back to all of us. Do you think that we are at that, I guess, that peak in Navajo life that we need someone like a matriarch? We already have that. Navajo people, the Nene, Tini, Aitan, the Yo Dodson, Alcohol. That's what I was told. Sani, not on Ilyao, that's Kaskaidole. Be all. So, and I think, I, to me, they are, they have been taking care of the homes as we see, they've been given the tools and cannot dabal in Hosani, bejo, hello, bedesin, hello, other betodism. They are aloud. So they're at this scene, age on Mandiedole, or the chin bit not that I think in that's what we are told. And I think I know that we need to get away from this colonialistic idea of what leadership, who belongs in that. We are in changing times and we need to work together. And I think, hey, and it's up to us as Navajo voters. And that's why tonight's conversation is so important, that everyone that's listening, it is your vote. It is the way you speak in your household. How do you want that person to be in office and what they support? So we need someone who is open-minded and who can work with everyone. And a mother can do that. Ado saya pahanet nahat no dahitki not ani iliyayata. When Dahitki was made into a Natani. And you can see and we can make these connections. I think, to me, I have a great person in mind. I've asked her myself. I always told her, I said, Shama, Dohani, Natani, Lan, Satani, Leka, and I'm like, she has all the qualifications. She has the education. She, like a mother, cares for Navajo people. All of them, including LGBTQ, including our invisible Navajos that are struggling with substance abuse. That she has. I think the other thing that I want to add to that is my father told me, "Sani e ya piche ye they feel." They're very logical. But then he told me when I first got elected, we were driving on Highway 59 by Chilchimbito. He said, nehi not ani indilia shiyawe shiye. Nethi not lehendlini e nensike don't nejete hui aftole. Hut not le hut ani yanda. And so, of course, I just sat there driving while he's in the passenger side, and I just bawled and I cried. That's such a masculine person in my life. My father, I never thought he would ever say that to me. And that's who we are. Wonderful, intelligent, traditional people actually are very open-minded, even though they're very conservative. That's who we truly are as the Diné. So if we can dismantle this very misogynistic, masculine mentality and be really Diné, then that's who we are. So it's time. I would say it's time that we put a female in Navajo Nation president. It's long overdue, and I've said that before. So that's thank you.
Thank you, Shahad. And I believe that too. Sure, so this case, though, I think that, this time, the nanny, Limiki, a young lady, Belagan of Echotahi Kite, the Belagan and Benantin, الساندو not anidol lehla dibin na tahat ningeto fut edansen hala amado masan eyan fiutaho jonon brizato bana anten even asher belika ahut adebans case ado hun jonon eyan ani a j jonon love hat nige eight anon sik case so edeya cha wesh yaji fut it na hunach hat isha ada it ana so nasha fut I don't washing what so when I'm that kato eyan fut it but other national type and that you're nice na ani for my yoko no hala ya after the ya she carried you for 9 months although she is on the item of bells and that bacha la ho bacha la hand ko na chit she shama you know jono ya shama it's how I back and don't how ya ba hashia you know cha hadiya na kita Shut the best that she attend no hashing it down hashing your glasses kiss halit asha per mashup should match which young bank and now a schlechter since I short and out of behind now over the she makes everything so much better now than that. Eben na should out a son not ani Celine the she got out at the big cut. I should need that because he will little her she option not keep not he she ain't better the she that is better how those but they put out yeah I just want to explain that and she had Nashima for always being there for me since like Otto Francis if everything's okay now.
Yes,
Would
it
you ever
is.
feel that there is time for a woman to be in the presidential seat, or anyone that's openly gay or transgender to be a president?
I believe that the LGBTQ is ready to take that role, and also a woman is ready for that role. We've been so long staying with our cultural belief. Asana eto na tani to lishta, asana eto bahas anda, stui kwa. So when you kind of put the concept together, you think about all the rights and wrong men are doing these days, and you think about all the way it's leading our government. It's wrong. And today we have three female council. Huh? Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Len?
Yeah. Oh.
So when we got three ladies that are at the council chambers right now, they're using every position to steer the council to make good decision, to be in respectful concept to what their people are saying. Today we have 21 gentlemen in the role that I'd say 11 are self-serving. And that's the reason why today, if you ask me that question, if a woman should be a leader, I believe it's high time we take that road.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can't stand back and we can't see this forever. And my mother, at one time when Linda Lovejoy ran for president, the only thing that prevented Linda Lovejoy becoming president was because of our NASA. They came forth and was telling everybody, "Do e sani nahat ato lista, do e sani lasta not dasta, do e hut eda." And do you know what the norm to that message was? Way back in history, the gentlemen went in their own. They live across the river. The men live across the other river. They were not joining together. At that time, the ladies went on their own, and that's when they said, "Ita natle hazli, astui apet khan nakhe sani apet khan nakhe." Ebet ando this gene the kotahol just a son don hinat ato lista. Kale goes teach and that asatatikhe. That's the core to this teaching. That's why I think that we need to step back away from that and let's fix our nation. And it's going to take a woman to fix that. If we can take that role and we can make progress, and I believe that it can happen. Like the three ladies that are in council seat, they're both two of them are chairwomen, and then the other one I believe she's a member to all her standing committee. Yes, I do totally agree. It's high time that we take it to our next level of government to bring a lady in. And then also Trudy, whom ran for the Navajo Nation president, she got votes too. So if that vote shows that people want a change, and so we need to move forward and make that very effective. And then on that same core, Navajo Pride, we're making a step. We're making
Yes, we are.
things happen. We're making things move forward. All this condom lesson about people calling us faggots, homos, sais, you're like that, and all that is not as obvious as it used to be when we were growing up. I'm 57 years old, and I went through a lot of it, but growing up, that wording, sticks and stones can't break my bone. But and we used to walk away, and
Throw as many
that's
sticks.
what I survived with. No matter calling names and everything else, I always say sticks and stones can't break my bone. But I kept walking, and so it takes a lot of strength to be who we are. It takes
Yes.
a lot of self dignity to be who we are, and some of us out there are still afraid, and some of us are still questioning, how do I get accepted? Me, I grew up knowing that I was a tsai. When I was small, 3, 4 years old, like when I used to go to with my grandma, and I was told that Edith, Ebitsuich nanat as a what bahis a son had no wa bigat nish. And that's how I grew up. When I went to school, when I started getting a lot of bullies, my own family turned around and said it was my grandma's fault that I became who I was. And I don't think so. It's just something that is within us, that we just have to be honest with who we are. And we just have to say that that's who I am. Nothing's going to change me. No matter how different I dress, inside does not change. So yes, today I do agree that we do need to get a female person, a lady, a woman into our presidency for the Navajo Nation government, and I believe that we can do that. And I think this year,
Yes.
this coming election, I'm even thinking it's going to happen. I can feel it.
Hmm.
I can feel it. It's going to happen.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, yeah, Francis, to hear
So
your voice and to hear your side. And it really is true. I was campaign manager for Trudy Jackson, and she's one of my huge mentors. So even I wanted to go for election on politics. So same question to Tavi. How do you feel about a woman or a LGBTQ open as part of the presidency?
Thank you. Yeah. I would have to agree with Honorable Brown and Mr. Lester as well.
Mhm.
Along those same lines, I think it is time for a change. Change is coming, and it may have started maybe a few years back, but we are part of the change. We certainly have.
Yes.
We have gone to the expectation of winning our elections and currently hold the seats that we are in. We may not be all be elected officials, but we are definitely community advocates to push for what we believe in as well. And yes, certainly, the mother's role it is all about love and nurturing. So perhaps we need that as a nation, and we currently see that in the council. However, there's only three that we have there, and perhaps in the next election here, maybe we'll have more female leaders seated in the 25th Navajo Nation Council. And who knows, maybe Lynn will be our next delegate from our area. So with that, I'm certainly appreciative of the question, and yes, change is here, and we will make that happen. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for staying with us and listening to our panelists. But for now, we're going to take a 5-minute break, and that's going to be showing the journey of Navajo Nation and the fight against COVID. So thank you, and join us back in 5 minutes. So watch the video. Yeah.
Ado hadaino na dabadi no wakut ebit yeit ke koni hik any hidna.
Once COVID-19 hit the Navajo Nation, we treat everything as a threat.
Oyote nades kiti the dinas negi.
For as long as I recall, this is something we've never had experience before.
Ebini na kon ngachin da nesigi kon da has kado kon bana neshite. Nakanda pa ni anda khay. Ebini na ekon bana neshite.
We did lose a couple to COVID. It's affecting our families too.
I never thought it would be like this.
Naka tineno sini nakahacho pa ado nakahata ni tsino da di ne ebini na ta ya.
We're right in the middle of another spike across the country, and cases are on the rise. Navajo Nation is right in the thick of it again. There's just a lot of challenges. All these kits have been assembled for first responders. So these are frontline workers on the Navajo Nation. And really the goal is to get them some PPE to keep them safe over the fall and winter months. So each kit here is in a World Vision drawstring bag, and it has hand sanitizer, face mask, soap, gloves. We just want to make sure they have everything they need to keep themselves safe and hopefully slow down the spread of this virus.
From the beginning of the pandemic, we had to get ourselves prepared with whatever supplies we had. We had a minimal, and so we had to purchase our own.
Not only are firefighters going to fire calls, we go to motor vehicle collisions, we help with emergency medical services. It's not an easy job. We're barely holding on by a thread. When 5 o'clock hits, unfortunately, we close down the shop, go home to our families. And you know, it's really flip a coin at that point, you know, whether you're exposed or not. We're in a shortage. It's really hard. A lot of the PPE that we have is actually donated. The little bit we have, we're very thankful for.
Any resources that becomes available, we put that out directly to frontline personnel. That way they have that better protection. Anything, you know, does help at this point.
During a pandemic, it means a lot. I think it provides hope, it provides encouragement, and we're all brothers and sisters. We're all in this together. We are blessed to have such fine people, such fine organizations continue to reach out to the Navajo Nation.
We're having a checkpoint here letting everybody know that the numbers are increasing here in Tuba City and around the Navajo Nation. We're handing out the hand sanitizers that were donated by World Vision. World Vision is a great partner to the Navajo Nation. And so we're just trying to let everybody know the safest place to be is at home. As we see numbers moving up throughout this country, numbers are starting to also increase here on the Navajo Nation. These individuals that are here are warriors. You got your World Vision volunteers, you have our public safety workers here, our law enforcement, our rangers, Office of the President, Vice President staff here, you know, on the front lines. This is a very dangerous virus, but we're doing our very best to take it seriously here on the Navajo Nation, and I just wish other leaders throughout this country would take this virus seriously. We're handing out hand sanitizer. We need to really understand and recognize that we're all in this together and we got to fight COVID together.
Hello, guys, and welcome back. Though but you know, I want to say to, of course, the Navajo Nation president, the vice president, at the executive level, though the first responders and everyone that's there to take care of our flashlight, though the vaccine machine because Navajo Nation now we have to get our vaccine done. So they got even national but I just want to let you know, welcome back. And to Delegate Honorable Nate Brown, what have you done, or in as far as the council have done during this pandemic? Like the important decision making during the pandemic.
Lynn, make sure that he unmutes
Arnold
himself.
Brown, I think your audio is on mute. I thought it was just my area. You have to unmute yourself, I think. And once Nate Brown comes back online, we would like to go on forward with Tavi. What other, as a chapter level, being a chapter official, what important decision makings have you guys made as a official for this pandemic?
So, as a chapter at White Ruins Community, we continue to stay close and adhere to the orders set by President Nez. However, our chapter administration does remain open Monday to Friday. Essential services are provided on Tuesday and Thursday. But as officials, we go in and we meet, just the officials only, in person. Of course, we do it all with staying 6 feet apart and taking our temps and so forth. But as an official, I believe it is very important to stay safe. Our meeting room has not been reopened. I don't think it'll be reopened for a while longer. Our constituents do like a drive-up service, and that's how they conduct business. But I believe in staying safe and keeping our community safe as well. Although our numbers may be declining and so forth, but we still need to remain safe, and until we're actually out of the pandemic, we can continue to resume with our normal activities. But in the meantime, as the well, I can speak for my chapter. We still remain closed to the public, and in safety terms, we just do what we can, and then keeping with the community, of course. We have the numerous distributions of practicing safety protocols as well, handing out hand sanitizers, face masks. We've had numerous donations from other entities, such as Apache County, Sage Hospital, and so forth. And those distributions have gone to the community. And again, it's just all part of being safe. And as myself, I'm really strict with being safe. So I have my president sit the furthest away from me and so forth. But just the bottom line is just being safe. Thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead. We'll go back to Honorable Nate Brown with the same question. What important decision makings have the council made to stop COVID? We're still having technical difficulties with Nate Brown.
Wait, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You would think with all the meetings that we have the platform keeps changing. This one's a new.
Come on, Kayenta.
Welcome to Kansas. Which way? No, but the council, we immediately took action even before the first cases of the pandemic. We started limiting travel with the council delegates, and we we just wanted everyone to stay home. But for me, I still thought business can go as usual. So I did go travel out, to attend to the nation's business. But once I came back, I felt like there was events going on in Kayenta, Danahoto, and Chochubito that weekend when we got the first case on March 7th. And when I realized, wow, I could have been a carrier with all the elders I've seen, I could have single-handedly wiped out. But it's a good thing, of course, that didn't happen. But from there, we understood, again, the seriousness for myself, but the council already, we went into action. We started having meeting nonstop. We were meeting and just hearing from everyone. We, immediately went into emergency mode. We went and passed resolutions giving the authority to the incident command post, the incident command center, and then, having smaller incident command posts in the chapters. I know here in Kayenta we had one, and it was a lot of learning. It was a lot of panic, especially at the peak when it was really sad that just within my 3 chapters, I remember one week when we had to bury about 3 to 4 of our relatives in a week for each chapter, to the point where our backhoe operator was being overwhelmed. And one of the hardest calls that I got was when a Masana called me, and when she was talking to me, she had a hard time breathing. She's like, I mean, that made me cough, and I'm like trying to gasp for air. And that was like past midnight, and I had to keep calling around, sitting on the phone, answering phone calls. talking to the emergency room at IHS, you know, calling and really pushing our IHS area director, Ms. Rosen. So really tapping into the state resources, to the federal resources, going to our medicine people, getting herbs, you know, all of that. I mean, even before the pandemic, we had nation protection prayers. We have these sacred shields that are made to protect us. And I've been sitting in as a patient, and we do host those at the Navajo Nation Museum and with multiple medicine people giving offerings to the river, to the mountains. So I feel like we have to continue to do that. The neni, lai down to citizen, along the Kadatin, is in the sin quaggy that no the Pino Cheta Kahonata, paying that the Honish Kishta bed so the Hatizin, Dankito me, Dohonita Hanilyada. And I think as Nutle community, we have so much and we're so in touch with our soul and our yin that we have a responsibility almost to save and to keep our nation and our people moving forward. So for me, the way my grandma taught me, the way I still live today is with our citizen, with our hatafis. Actually, after this, I'm going to my niece's Bidje tonight. And then this weekend, unfortunately, the Navajo Nation Council canceled the nation's prayer because there's so many initiatives going on. So we'll reschedule that. And recently I was at the Cisnagini, which was my first time that I was out there. So I'm going to continue to go to the four sacred mountains, going to San Juan River, going to all the rivers. And I'm taking my nieces and nephews. So that's what we have been doing. And I've been making, with my own vehicle, you know, Utah, our Navajo folks like Stephanie Benali, Moroni Benali, Samantha and Donna Elderid, Heather Johnson, James Toledo, many volunteers in Salt Lake have just been donating. And even when we were told, don't tell anyone that we were told to stay home, I couldn't stay home. I had to get out and I had to expose myself. I I had to, I guess, tell my family that this is my job. I'm elected to do this job and I have to get out there. So I was scared, but I just went back to our prayers and I just gave it to the holy people and I said, my intention is this, the and then. So I went with that and I had to get these essentials from Salt Lake and the wonderful people out there had to keep going out and buying these stuff and bringing them together. And our chapter officials, our chapter manager drove all the way out there, brought it back. And we were desperate, you know, there was nowhere, we couldn't find Lysol. So those are the type, my chapter manager and officials, some of them, they really went above and beyond. I mean, we had to make a choice, and some of us got COVID. We tested positive. We got sick, but we made it through. So those are some of the harsh decisions that we had to make. You know, losing people around us. I had to watch my uncle be taken away, and sometimes you weigh those. But I was told by our Haspisani, what are your intentions? As long as you know your intentions, there's nothing you can do wrong. So I went with that, and I'll continue to do that. And with my LGBTQ, my Natle, my Dilba community, I'm here, and I'll do what I can. And I'm done with my shame piece. I've dealt with that. Anyone can call me queer, faggot, tsai. I'm okay with that. They're not talking to me. It's their own insecurities. Ape tayatag.
Yes.
They have so much insecurities, and the thing
Okay.
is, I see a lot of our Nutleh community during COVID who stepped up, who were out there, and I know there's a lot of you who were quietly saying your prayers at home, who were probably like me doing these long hikes and praying for your people. That's what I know is Ihyat to my relatives out there who are the unsung heroes who went out there and went out of your way and still do. So we'll continue to do that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so that's what some of the things we've done. I can go on forever and talk about this. There's so many people to thank. There's so many people who have done so many good things. So yeah, I hope and I hope that one day we have a platform to to recognize every single volunteer, people who gave money, people who did these things. So we'll work on that. So that's my
Yeah.
response. Thank you. Back to you, Lynn.
Yeah. Oh yeah, thank you, Joe Kiahat, and thanks for everything you guys do on the council floor. Actually, that's what we signed up for, Anita. But thank you for everything you've done, and are going to continue to do. Although I know that we've all lost someone special to us during COVID, and so same question to Francis. What decisions have you guys made that were important in your community to fight COVID?
Thank you for the question, Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
For ourselves here in Waicombe, well, what we did was March 13th, 2020, we got a notice that said there was COVID on the Navajo reservation. And that weekend, we have a community volunteer advocacy group, and we got together and we said, you know what, we need to do something. We need to get something going. So we did assignments and we did quick assessment. March 16th, 2020, the Navajo Nation president um, went in and shut the Navajo Nation government down and said, everybody can stay home, do this, and the council passed the legislation also. And so we were out there fending for ourselves and our community. And the first approach was, how do we do this? So we started doing keeping eyes out, watching the Health Command Operations Center, watching the Navajo Department of Health, watching the Winslow Indian Healthcare Corporation, and then also watching World Health Organizations online. And we kept up with it. And so the thing that started impacting the people was the stay at home clause, that people were getting scared. People were really asking, how do we do that? PPE was not even brought up at that time. So when we started saying PPE, people were like, what's that? And so we had to do a lot of education, a lot of awareness, a lot of giving knowledge to the people. And then long came the Navajo Hopi Family COVID-19 Relief. And so there was the board, and they
Mm-hmm.
were doing the fundraising, and they asked what would be good and what would be the, and they were just only starting with 50,000, and so we got a shipment of food. Now today, the first shipment we got was a little bit over $10,000 worth of food, and so when we start that, so from there to today, we have served a large proportion of our community. We went to homes and we saw how our people were impacted, how sick, how COVID had um, isolated them, and how families were quarantined. We even had to take tents and um, bedding and all that to the one that's isolated to separate them from the family. So we lost a good number of elders to this virus because they were underlying health individuals. So now today I can say that we did our best. We fought the pandemic as well as we know with the knowledge that was being given, and it will get better now that the vaccine is here. Um, but it's not proven to be say not. It's not saying that you once you got your vaccine you can do whatever you want. We still get precaution. We're still out there to give um, face mask, material mask, and then also the disposable masks, gloves. So we're getting quite a bit of outreach to them. And as an individual, I was so fortunate to work with the um, chapter official. I was a grazing official at that time, but I was able to coordinate with the elected Katnas Nile, and we took a lead, and they just said, "Okay, you guys, we understand what you're doing, so continue with it." We had some offsets, we had some things that we had to deal with, but our main goal was that we're community advocates. We're out there to help our community. There's a difference between government and advocacy. Advocacy, you do your best. Government, you have a policy and procedure and regulations that you have to follow. Advocates, you kind of you eh, ah, what it out, yeah, it's a case. What it's a case. And Leiden has tweeted on his own, yeah, go with Katahani Greg of Anza de Chinashon. Tesson data na zon hot out and that is me. Benak is to this day ho. And the hask. Benak in the data, that's about the the net, the band, the owners, no. So we did a lot. That's what we did. But today I can go back, and these family are so happy that we were able to be there to help them. And today I'm a community advocacy again, so I try to help as many people as I can. I continue to collaborate with the St. Mary's Food Bank, and they give me shipment, and I just do an invitation. So thank you very much, Lynn. And I do. That's how we took our role. Yeah, that's what I, the community, and myself did to help our community.
Okay. Sure, yeah, and it's wonderful to hear different stories from different areas, but we're all in this for the just for the one purpose of always being there for our community. Ashe ni yo na nish tsagishi and well job bato hashi adana ban shi ke shi bana sha ajo gata shi masanya ni dan they had the nabich and now yo ka bi or that yanda that is or that اتخطأت السبب وتخيل إيه إبت أنا شينا إزدت يعني إذا أنكش ليندا هذا ده دوشة نحن نادا دولة هذا ده ندي ناسك إيش بس نهدي ناو أكون هذا دي أصلي إبت كائن دوله أنا كائن دو جانكت أو إيش ياهو هني نيلان سنتش مثلا أنا شنو إسخايب نشان so just sharing that part with you guys. Dojo Okiahat for being still being here with us on each other. But Kotoe ya Juno ya Nahat Adeya Nation. Do Hashin so Navajo Nation Council, though chapter officials, although we had a chapter manager on the Eben Nasha Top Hini Town the Neban Danish, dot Asahata, dot Ankit Ayadit the out a past or Nita no Eben Agi. I figured this panel consists of all three other grazing officials that not lordship not on permit that they also nation even that's what we're talking about, the leadership Hashin so the belash like Nidlengi two spirit and Ito Hashit we have a different community that we have a purpose or we live for, but even Nashit we thank you for putting us a part of those, to be a part of the Navajo Nation community. We have a purpose. So with that, we are taking questions from our live viewers, but I have a question, I'm going to run a question by from Bailey. She was asking who is our main motivators and how did we get to this level of where we're at because of that. Tavi?
Thank you for the question. I have gotten to this point from my late uncle, who was former delegate Nelson Begay. Unfortunately, we lost him a couple of weeks ago. He was my father's older brother. So when I was younger, he always took care of me, and I always tell this story that perhaps he wanted to adopt me. I may have been part of his family, but that didn't happen. However, as I grew up, I always had an interest in politics. And several years ago, he decided to run for Navajo Nation Council after he retired from Navajo Tribal Utility Authority. And at that point, of course, there was so much family support, and he was successful in his first term. So therefore, he always would say that when you become a Natani, you speak for your people, not for yourself. And with that comes self-respect, and then also respecting your community members as well, and to listen to everyone, not take sides, and always be open-minded is without a binaantin holonde do binaantin it's adon di lado without a shinaantin holong. I always say he's one of my big supporters and my mentors. As a matter of fact, some of you may know he was very ill the past several months, and I got a text message from him on election night, and he was very proud that I had won, and just gave me some advice, and was very thankful to the Creator and Diné for my successful win, and my generation moving up into not only into politics but being a successful leader. Without a by shaft or do mi schlecht or without a
All right, wonderful. Francis, the same question.
Okay. And thank you for the question, and thank you, Lynn. It would be my mother. My mother, when I moved back from Phoenix, 2010, I approached my mom and I asked her, Mom, I've been an advocacy for the community. I've been attending the chapter meeting. I've been attending the Navajo area IHS direct service consultation and all that meeting. I said, I think I'm ready to go into leadership. And she just told me, said, no. And she never gave me why it was a no. So one day when in 2012, 2011, I was home, and she told me, get up, get ready. We're going to Window Rock. You're going to pick up an application. And I was like, I don't feel like going, Mom. She goes, just get ready, let's go. So I went and got ready, my casual attire, and she says, I don't mean like that. Get your beads and your earrings and your bracelet, and get ready. Put your CA up. You're going. We're going. She said. So I was being hesitant and everything else. So I went to Window Rock with her. On the way to Window Rock, we got to the museum, and then she goes, go in there and pick up an application. I went in there, and the only sign I saw right there was the Navajo Nation Election Office application for the chapter officials. And I turned around and I stood there and I was like, went to the counter and asked the person, "Are there any job openings here?" And she goes, "No. The only application they're picking up is in that door." So I went in there and I picked up the application. I came back out and I was hesitant because of ethics clearance and then all this paperwork that you have to go through, pictures and whatnot. And I'm thinking, what am I getting myself into? But at the end, it came out and we did that. And so by the time that we got done and my paperwork went through, I was I was the only one that had applied for secretary treasurer. So I was unopposed. And so we went through that. And so, yeah, my mother was the one that I would ask her, I want to get into chapter government, but she was the one that told me, "You're not ready." That one day, she's like, "Get up, let's go," and you're picking it up and you're doing that, and I did. And so today, my mother still is the one that tells me, calm down, slow down, reflect, think before you make any step forward. Because once you do that step, there's no turning back because you already delivered a message. So those are always something that I always remember is when I'm approaching to speak, I always say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm okay. And so yes, it's my mother. Her name is Sally Ann. She was the CXR program and she retired from there after 31 years as with the Navajo Nation. So I'm very privileged to say that she's my mother, and she did well, letting me grow myself up. And then when it was time to go back to chapter government, she was the one that held that leash and said, "Not yet, not yet." But when I won, she said, "Okay, you're on your own now." But when I come back, she tells me, "Hold on, slow down." She still holds that ring. And yeah, so that's who I am. Everything I do, I have to run it by my mother because I respect her a lot. She, she's my, she's my strength. She's my mentor. She's my best friend. She's everything to me. So that's who I am. And thank you.
That's wonderful, Joe. Yeah, and I met your mother when we were going on the campaign tour with Trudy Jackson. So your mother, but same for myself. Who have I looked up to, and what impact has it had for me as of now? Young, I went through the same thing. My dad is was my huge person that I voted to for any advice. And Chanela, she told me, "Don't chapter abundant here." No, I went to my dad. And my dad said, "Tota." And she been not at the time in that Francis, but he said, "You're not ready." Jay do betsketa. Do yan in the doba halyada. I don't thought other his like Yobik as she or not. In some case, thought I am teacher only. A she does a very nice. So it was all that, and I thought, oh, I should in. So with that, I just went along. Although I never brought that up again. Although working for the chapter and then getting to see Trudy Jackson run for Navajo Nation president and being able to see her votes come in. Aga me, I have a purpose. I may be able to do this. I lost my father about 5 years ago to cancer. I moved back to Phoenix. I moved from Phoenix back to home because I started working at the chapter house. After 3 years as Ishla on National Front and administrative assistant. I went to account maintenance specialist. I also was moved up to chapter manager. So I had an immense amount of prestigious titles as being an openly transgender woman. Even I thought maybe I'm ready for this. Yeah, she shan sit about because she shot and so on. Even nation. Although I just told my mom, can't, my mom is yeah, she's just there. She's always been there for me, no matter what I decide to do. A machine with advocate now, God over although I've also met a lot of friends that I consider family. So even nation, yeah, I wonder when she asked, and then other had the last day, no. She put her name in for school board for White Rooms. I don't know where that's going to, but also, I believe there's legal structures in the school board part of it, but hopefully they're going to have a special election for that. She's the most national song. So we both started running for politics. Although I just put my name out there and I told people, I said, I don't have the filing fee. So ya quite the national call vessel shot the initial national filing fee of the. So I had a huge support level, though I even had people coming by delivering and donating certain things that I could serve to the people of Nahat Atzil. Though one of my friend Haas from Chinli, so the best I guess I will be able to bend the seat. I thought it's under the 8 age though, it's a huge impact and it's yeah. But as far as that, I've actually ani actually ani so the negative no, I don't say very much. I can have an input that just comes out of my head. Ashka and Nisha Zachi, she even just like how Tavi is saying, adult just keep the never not Hashid off which Hashid off these shapa hadik for me. The hard ginger rod, Bahajot, at la Hosh don't need that. Eben Yanasha, Halata business, Halit up in the business. Tweet on Kazani Sunday, not at Zilda. With our best had seen a Johnson said, dance the case a lot. Those Hashins are the old kissing there. You want to make a difference. The 3 plot with old kids have done the Napa covered now. Ni non-nation side, and you can't be a selfish person to be sitting here. I see what Jay though, what in that though. When the case was allowed, Jonah but the Nepal just killed Jonah Bans the case of Eons at the Shin and Jonah had to ask. Don't have a dog that that Eben National Bars to see, but Eben National did national effort that me. I see the never look as dogs net over and just lot of hashing up. Yet, which I had to hear a young Zab at your glass and that it after the buses stop. The hashing so top on had my mom's stone style like they had a huge impact in this, the young but Shamadia Fasha not was other should they social to Hashin so did I planned for something huge and I know I'm gonna do those things. I know I'm gonna accomplish those things because of the parents I have and because of my siblings I have. Other my cousins, in scholarship you don't do everything on your own. Which the author the cat now cognition is for that is obviously the initial out that community members out that. So even that hun such a young kids of start hun such a young kids not on. Although he had to deny pride for putting this on for us. Shay, I brought this to El Rey and I told him I said we need some type of momentum for us to sit here and talk to you guys. This has never happened. The adult that I'm kidding. No, she been national a adult the kid that had never dancing. In Kada is a hundred and such a baby doctor a dot donkey that no hashin. So there's a lot of community members. She don't other young inda. She don't ashin kaya that kid. Hala a day dot that day don't either. Do I just the glass of shin don't need that kid down. But we took that part. So we put it into another effort to make that positive outcome. It's not us that put ourselves in there. We have to remember that. It's the community members that voted us in. That's the difference. And if they didn't want us in there, they wouldn't have voted us in. You know, there is change coming, but we just have to understand that it takes a while. The Navajo Nation, but we don't have same-sex marriages. We don't have hate crime laws. You know, there's a difference in that. There's a lot of straight people that can be out there, cisgender people. They're not worried about nothing. Belant or let happening a basis hala eya don kick estida hala eya do be a policy the laws that eya you kick estida ada at Holland haida they I don't like that it all add up you know the bad had ishin skiffle little a hustle but you know a do yans that case the hate crime laws happening eya hashin zat eya wali hat sabana the k don't kick estida even this whole thing right here that we have going is making history. I don't, you know, it's nice to know that I have a huge support from local communities. Although my family, so I had to all our supporters and all of the ones that have been here for us ever since day one. Even that out of the Net Pride for hosting this. Although, you know, we have enough time for maybe a closing address. So if you want to have a closing address, Toby, you can go ahead and do that now.
Ahead, Lynn Kodo, Kodo be Watiki do all our participants, Mr. Lester, Honorable Nathaniel Brown, and then we didn't get to hear from the chapter manager. However, perhaps in a future event, he can present his platform. But in closing, I'd just like to say thank you to Diné Pride and to Elray and all his supporters as well. Lin it's just not us. We're just not one person in a chapter setting. Those that have those that feel confident in us, those are the ones that put us here in these positions. Again, I do have a large support base at my chapter, from the chapter administration to the community members. Again, like I said earlier, I was I was taken back, especially when I had learned that I had beat my opponent, who was a local individual, female individual, who was very vocal in the community, but the vote spoke for itself, and I was a successful candidate. Nevertheless, I extend that gratitude to her, and always ask for her input and collaboration, networking at the chapter level. Being the good person that I am, I work to be accountable and transparent. I feel that I have a big heart for my community. We have grandmas and grandpas. They live in the rural communities that are like way off the dirt road. Don't have access to anything at the chapter, as well as some may still have no electricity and running water and so forth. And those are some of the projects that I plan to work on as a chapter official. It may I may not complete that task in 4 years. However, there's always something somewhere to start. So I'm forever thankful to Lynn for being our host here, and just being a part of the community that is accepting. Like everyone else has said, as a child, I grew up knowing that I was different from everyone. And of course, all that comes with all the hatred and so forth growing up. However, I felt that was not going to bring me down. That wasn't going to hinder me from doing anything. Although I took it upon myself and it was my goal. I will be a chapter official in chapter capacity. So currently I work for the Navajo Nation, and yes, Navajo Nation law Navajo Nation really doesn't have a law that covers us. So with that, I am proud of who I am. I come from a large family. I have 5 sisters and 1 brother who are all successful in their own ways. Majority of, like I said, I have sisters, but I think I get a lot of my self sustainability from my sisters. I have sisters who are very influential. I have parents, a mother and a father. Unfortunately, they're currently separated, but very supportive of my endeavors. Without that's how I will close this evening. And if there are any further questions or anyone like to continue to network or collaborate, certainly I'm open to that. You can reach me on Facebook. I'm always on Facebook. So with that, to Lynn, to Francis, Honorable Brown, and Elry.
Thank you. Continue to strive for the best, and thank you. So Francis, your closing.
Thank you for having us tonight, Elray, and then also Lynn for moderating the event, and then also Mr. Begay. And then also Honorable Delegate Mr. Brown. It's such a good feeling to be a part of Pride, and all the families, all the relatives whom are on that will be viewing this podcast and everything else. We are happy, and that's my closing remark. So let's enjoy our evening, and let's see tomorrow another wonderful day, regardless if it's windy or not. It's always a beautiful day when we wake up. It's God's creation. We have to be grateful for what it is. We just can't be judgmental with nature. And just like any other person, we just have to live moment by moment and just enjoy it, no matter how big of a tumbleweed's rolling. Just say, look at how beautiful that's rolling. Use the positive norm against the negative norms. So, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, both of you, for being here and being able to be with me as far as the panel is going. It's been an honor to be a moderator here for you guys, though, for us extending ourselves and our input to people that we've educated thus far. To El Rey for making this possible for us. So with that, with my closing, I just want to say thank you all for being able to be here with us. We all go through a lot, not just myself, not just everybody here. We have our own insecurities, our own frustrations, our own complications. And thank you for letting us breathe another day. When it's windy, I feel different about it, but I remember when my mom and my dad were together. My dad goes, only your my mom goes to at the end the end and she said, and one day I remember that I said, Mom, Dad, because my dad, he's no longer here. So we started laughing. So little things like that always bring back something to that I remember. So with that, I just want to let you guys know that Dohiahat and El Rey, he's the executive director of Pride, Diné Pride, and has done a wonderful job coming from a Navajo Nation, a Native American perspective, because I believe we are the largest Diné Pride out of every Native American country. So, and I will give him the honors to speak here at our closing. So, El Rey,
Thank you so much, Sister Shadeja, to Lynn, as well as to also to Francis Lester, and to Mr. Brigade Tav, and you all as Lynn, Francis, and Tav. Y'all are doing amazing work in our communities all across the Navajo Nation. And I know, Tav, your election in White Ruins was historic, and so proud of you for that, brother. But also, me and Tav go way back. But also to Francis, this is the first time I'm actually meeting you in person. But the only thing I know about White Cone is that's where State Line's from, and the band's from there. But also, like, my family is from the Steamboat and Bishpikoa and Jedito, so I have family that votes in all both chapters. But Francis, I heard your name before, and thank you so much for being a community advocate there, especially for all the work you've done during COVID. Especially in a really rural area out there where you're from in Arizona. And also to, to my sister here, to Lynn. Lynn, thank you so much for recommending this conversation tonight and inspiring this idea that we need to hear from our local grassroots chapter leaders, those that are elected locally, because it is hard to get elected to become a chapter official. And I know that very well because I had family that have done that. And each and every one of you have really come so far in your journeys to really be where you're at today. And you're not the only people. There's Navajo Nation has 110 chapters all across, the Navajo Nation in Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. There's so far that we're going to go, and there's more that we need to accomplish together. But I want to say thank you all to Tav and to Francis and to Lynn, all my dear friends for joining me tonight. And what I want to allow is actually move forward and actually provide you all a glimpse of Diné Pride 2021. Other than that, thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Francis. And thank you, Tav. And
thank you.
To this part and let our audience know what's happening tonight, okay? I'll go on that.
Okay.
Okay, everyone, good evening. My name is Alray Nelson. I'm the Executive Director of Diné Pride. And as Lynn, Tav, and Francis, some others have shared tonight, especially Delegate Brown, is that we have continued a journey that has lasted more than 5 years. We continue to defeat and fight this monster called COVID-19. And as we're going through this journey together, we need to understand that we're resilient Diné people. We're also resilient Indigenous peoples, the first Americans in this country. And as we travel along the footsteps of our ancestors, we are reminded so much of the teachings that have really solidified our footing here on our sacred land, our Mother Earth. And that's, that it comes back with a huge responsibility of our roles as being sacred beings in our communities. And in many cases, like if you go to a ceremony, or you go to a wedding, or you go to a family celebration, you will see us as LGBTQ relatives there at the forefront leading a lot of these celebrations, where they're leading a lot of these healing ceremonies, where they're at the forefront and the ones preparing the food and making sure the men and the women are taken care of, especially our grandmas and our grandpas. So that's imperative for us as we learn that knowledge as we go into the future. And so tonight, I wanted to share with you just a brief glimpse of what to expect for Diné Pride 2021 for June coming up. And so I want to share with you our Pride champions tonight. And the Pride champions that Diné Pride selected this year is actually going to be Senator Jack Jackson, who's a former Arizona State Senator from Arizona. And Senator Jackson is an amazing human being, and we select him as one of our champions this year. In addition to that, Diné Pride, our board of directors have selected Secretary of the Interior, Deborah Holland, to be our other champion. And in addition to that, I wanted to share our flyers going forward for Diné Pride for events that you should actually plan for. Diné Pride's hosting a sacred and strong Arizona drag show at Cruisin' on 7th. So if you can join us that weekend in Phoenix, Arizona on Sunday, May 30th during Memorial Day weekend, please do so. Reserve your tables, contact Cruisin' on 7th. It's actually a grill, a show bar and lounge, and make sure to take part in our amazing event. In addition to that, this is also our tentative schedule of what to expect for Diné Pride for our scheduled events. And this year's theme is the sacred resilience of our Indigenous women, the sacred resilience of our Indigenous matriarchs. And so starting on Wednesday, June 16th, we're hosting our opening ceremony where you'll get to hear from our Nasilid Rainbow Youth Scholars. You will also meet our Natani Leadership Honorees. And finally, for the night, we're also going to hear from our Pride Champions. Every single night of that virtual event, we're actually going to showcase an Indigenous drag performer every night for all of our different events. And then we're also going to host an LGBTQ roundtable on Thursday, June 17th. That's going to focus on our Indigenous women, and the theme for that night is the resilience and uplifting our tribal nations. So you'll get to hear from our women that identify as LGBTQ or non-gender binary for an amazing conversation, as y'all heard for tonight from our chapter leadership. On Friday, June 18th, you'll actually hear from our transgender roundtable panelists, where we're actually going to host a theme of our lives in the future. So overall, please join us for our virtual events. The Diné Pride's Board of Directors wants to ensure that we're providing you an inclusive, safe, and all safely streamed event for Diné Pride 2021. On Saturday, June 19th, expect the first ever Indigenous Pride Parade on an Indigenous nation to ever be held in Window Rock, Arizona. More details to come. In addition to that, that evening, we're hosting our closing ceremony and a rainbow lighting of Window Rock, Arizona. So please come out. Tickets are going to be available for admission. So we'll be charging for people to come in. It's not going to be so much. We're trying to make sure that we raise enough money to support our scholarship program and all the work that we're doing all across the Navajo Nation. Besides that, everybody, I'm Alray Nelson. Really good to meet you all. Please have an amazing night. Thank you so much, Lynn, our amazing moderator tonight. Thank you so much to all the people that have been supportive of Diné Pride. Get your awesome merchandise, because we actually have a limited edition Diné Pride 2021 t-shirt. And you all have a good night. Sending love to you all. And as on behalf of my husband, Brendan, and I, we always say, I mean, it's really going to be us. It's really going to be you as an individual to really create change. So let's get that done. You all have a good night. And on behalf of some amazing people, one of the things I want to share is that we can find unity in our diversity. And we have several partners like Alumni Native and Mag 7 who just released an amazing music video called We Are One. It's a collaborative show that showcases the richness, the diversity, and the beauty of Indian country and what Diné Pride represents. Y'all have a good night.
We stand all together, one voice saying yes we can. Each one, reach one till we pull ourselves up, cause we all one fam. From the rest to the block, to the prairie, to the rock, we connect that love. Cause the people with power feel the power of the people when we stand as one.
I got you stuck off the realness. We be Indigenous, you heard of us. Max 7, the murderers, spreading the love with the water and earth. And the stand against hate, gotta know what the purpose is. We rise, the climate is changing, the signs of the times. It's time to start praying. Pray for the world and community. Prayers are more powerful when we're in unity.
Today, Hungry for a change, new path to take. Can't stay the same, it's been too long. Pointing out who's right or wrong, can you hear me out? All we need is a little bit of love. Take time to heal and it starts with us. Hand in hand, I put my trust. In one world, reunite, it's a must. Hold on to hope, we can overload. We can break the code with a single note. Sing out for the world to hear that our time is now, no more for tears. I looked into my son's eyes, a new day in a new light. Lift the veil and dwell so peaceful. Come together, one world, one people.
We got beautiful differences, let me give you a peek. Over 500 tribes, but we all unique. And if we could not compete to eat, nothing could beat us. Jealousy is more dangerous than diabetes. See this unity? Imagine what it looked like. You would think we would do whatever it took, right? I would do anything for this good life. We could do anything if we unite. Come on.
Young native, you are my savior. Say a prayer for our inspiration. From the block to your reservation. Any color, all my relations. From the basement, worldwide invasion. Every day we're painting our faces. Fighting back but learning our language. Dancing our dances, saying our prayers.
One choice, one earth, one love, one birth. We like to live. We like to live, yeah.
One people, we stand all together, one voice saying yes we can. Each one, reach one till we pull ourselves up, cause we all one fam. From the rest of the block to the Perry to the Rock, we connect that love. Cause the people with power, for the power of the people when we stand as one.